Hello everybody, this is Haniki again, and today I'm going to do another GIMP tutorial, this time how to make a free YouTube banner using GIMP. Now of course GIMP is an open source free to download image manipulation software which is similar to Photoshop. It's a great program and I'm sure you will like it if you give it a go. Anyway, let's get started. Here is a YouTube banner I made earlier and I'm going to remake it for this tutorial. So first of all, what we're going to do is open a new canvas. So we're going to go up to File, New, and the size that we want is 2560 by 1440 pixels. And we want to make sure that it is 300 by 300 pixels per inch. Make sure it's per inch and not per millimeter. RGB. And the background will be transparency. So just double checking, that's 2560 by 1440. Okay, there we go. So the very next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a YouTube banner template. So here's one that I downloaded earlier. I'm going to drop it in here. And this tells you what areas of the screen will be visible on which devices. So this central area is the text and logo safe area for desktop and mobile, the minimum of desktop. Of course, the desktop area will extend all the way out to here, all the way across. Tablets will extend out to here, mobiles only to here, and the full screen if you're watching on a television set. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to lock this layer so I don't move it around by mistake. So now it shouldn't move at all. That's good. And I can probably get rid of this one. So that is our banner template. Now the next thing we're going to do is add some guidelines. So using the Move tool, we're going to add the guidelines to the edges of the area that we're going to be working on. So there, oops, and here. And that way, when we place things over the top, we will be able to see them. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is add a background image. So I downloaded one earlier from freepic.com. It's this one. I'm going to drop that on there. And it's a lot larger than we need, so I'm going to hold Control and use mouse wheel to zoom out. And then using the resize tool, we're going to make it smaller. So let's just move that down to here. We just want it to fill the width of this selection, not necessarily the height. Okay, so I want to place it nicely in the box that is marked out with these guidelines. So let's have a play with it to try and get it nice. Okay, I'm happy with that. So it doesn't need to go to the bottom of this box because we're only going to see the colored part across here. So for now I'm going to lock that just so that I don't move it by mistake. And now I'm going to add a new box and call it mask. Okay, and I'm going to fill that one with black. Completely fill it with black. So we're choosing black from here, and we're going to use the fill tool. We're going to say select, make sure it's on the right layer, select all, and we're going to fill that area with black. Okay. Then I'm going to get my rectangle selection, and I'm going to select the area that we marked with guidelines. I'm going to go to the mask, and I'm going to delete that area. So select none. So this way, only this bit is going to be visible for the banner, and the rest will just be blacked out. But what we're going to do before we get too far into it is make a color palette. So our color palette is, where is it? Okay, that's not the right one. So I'm going to go to this little tab here. We're going to say add a tab, palettes. Okay. And then we're going to say create a new palette, and we're going to call it the banner example. Now, to make a palette, what we need to do is change the foreground color to the color that we want to choose. So going into the foreground editor, I'm choosing the little color selection tool, and I'm going to choose a nice dark purple color. So this is the color here that we're looking at. I think we'll go with that one. So that's there, and we're going to click on this which says create a new entry from the foreground color. So it's gone in there. We're going to call it dark purple. Okay, then we're going to choose another color. We'll go with this pink. So that's the color at the moment. Maybe a bit darker than that. Okay, so that's the color there. And we're going to add it to the palette. Then we're going to choose another color. About this light bluey mauve color. Add it to the palette. And then of course we've got black and white, but we can use them from here. So this is currently our color palette. Right, so what I want to do now is go to our mask layer and select the two black areas, and I'm going to change them to this purpley color. All right, so that's better. Now it's not quite so dark, so say select none. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is add some text. So I'm going to lock this mask layer for now. We're going to make a new layer and call it text. I'm going to go into the text tool, and the font that I'm using is Mandalore Condensed. Okay, so this is a font that I downloaded from this website, dafont.com, and there's all kinds of different free to use fonts. Anyway, we're going to use Mandalore Condensed, so I'm going to change the color for now to this light blue color. Okay. Now what we probably want to do is add a guideline. So let me have a real quick add of a guideline. We're going to say guides, new guide by percentage. We're going to say vertical at 50%, and then we're going to have another one, guides, new guide by percentage, horizontal at 50%, and that just gives us the dead center, just so that we can line stuff up a bit easier. Now we're going to start typing. I'll just type here and then we can move it later. So with this particular font, Mandalore, if I put caps on and type my name, okay, the A's have a little a Mandalorian dude in there, which is not what I want. So because this is a caps only font, I'm going to just type it in lowercase, and that will avoid having the little Mandalorian dude in there. So now we're going to make it bigger. Oh, that'd probably help if I selected it. Going to make it bigger. Okay. Then we're going to click it onto the center of this area. See that little plus thing in the middle of the box when I grab it? See the little plus? That's what clicks onto the line. So I'm going to put it there for now. Now I might make it a wee bit bigger than that. And then just recenter it again. Okay, I'm happy with that. And before we go any further, I'm going to bring in the YouTube little icon. So here's one I downloaded earlier from Google. Just drop it in there. And then I want to make it a lot smaller than that, so we're going to zoom in by holding Control and using mouse wheel. Then using the resize tool. Oh, of course, it's just huge, isn't it? Using the resize tool, I'll make it a lot smaller. I want it to be about the same size as this letter A. Okay, I'm just going to line it up. So it should be nicely centered on that letter A. Okay, now I'm going to link those two things together, which is the YouTube logo and the text, so that they can move at the same time. And I'm going to line that up in the visual center of this area. That's not too bad. Right, you can turn the guides off to see. Now before we go any further and change the text, I'm going to add some extra elements just above the mask, well, just below the mask, but anyway, just here next to the mask. I'm going to add some white lines, so I'll just put that just below the mask. So I'm going to use the free select tool, and I'm going to make like a triangular shape using white. Just drop that in there. Okay, select none. And then this layer, I'm going to duplicate the layer. Here's the duplicated version. I'm going to take the layer and transform it to flip vertically, so it's down there now. That's pretty much where I want it. So I'm going to lock those ones so I don't move them by mistake. Just have a look. Okay, so now we're going to bring in another element, and this is the one I've got. I've downloaded this from freepik.com. I will show you that website soon, and I'm going to drop it on here. It's gone underneath the picture. So there it is, and what we want to do is make it a bit smaller. So let's zoom out. So we just want to make it small enough to fit on this side of these words. Okay, that'll do. Now we'll zoom in a bit so that we can see what we're doing. Just line it up nicely in this area. Right, now what we're going to do is add a layer mask so that we can fade out some of this edge here. So here it is. We're going to change the name of it to hexagon. And then I'm going to add a layer mask so that white is full opacity. And what that means is while we're using white, you can see everything, and if we use black, it will start to disappear. So we're going to use our paintbrush tool. This one is currently size 188, which is this big. And the force is 16, so it's not super hard. And then as we paint over that, you can see it starts to fade bits out. So you can just sort of do a nice random fade out. Of course, if you take too much off, just switch it to white and it'll bring it back in again, which is pretty handy. There it goes. So just till you feel it looks nice and random. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm going to just zoom out a teensy bit. Now I want to get that also on this side, so we're going to switch over to the actual image. That's the layer mask. This is the actual image, and we're going to say duplicate this layer. There is the copy of it. Then we're going to move it over here. We're going to say layer, transform and flip it horizontally. And we might also flip it vertically just so that it's a little bit different. Just line it up. Let's just line it up. It's giving me honeybee vibes so far. Where shall we put it? There. Alright, that'll do for now. I'll click off that one. We're on 50%. So we are going to change the color of this to sort of match these colors a little bit better. But before we do that, I'm going to add something else that has this blue color in it, and that's what we'll match it to. So we're going to go up to our mask, and I'm going to take this galaxy image that I downloaded from freepik.com and drop it on here. We need to resize it quite a lot. So we want it to be as wide as our full area. And then we're going to move it so that it's covering all of that area. So using the Magic Wand Select tool, we're going to go to our purple box layer and select those two purple areas. Then we're going to say select the inverse. So the bit that's selected is now this middle section. Go back to our galaxy picture and we're going to remove that middle section. That's the way. Now we're going to say select none. And now we want to make the galaxy less bright. So we're going to change the opacity. Let's change it to 80 and see. Well, that we could change a lot more than that. Okay. Now we're going to change our hexagon pictures to make them a lot less bright as well. So let's put them at 50. let's put them at 75. And then we might change the color of them a bit because they're not really in line with that color there. So we'll select one of them, this one, and we're going to go up to colors, hue and saturation. So I might take the saturation down a little bit just so it's a more dusty sort of color. And do the same thing to this one. It's color, hue and saturation. We're going to change the saturation so it's the same as the other one. Okay. There's a couple more things I need to do. First of all, that little YouTube logo is very bright. Oops, what happened there? The YouTube logo is this one. So we want to dull that red color down a lot as well. We'll go into saturation and take it down till it's a lot more dull. That'll do. Now I wanted to change something about this text, so let's go to the text. We're going to add a filter, the long shadow. Okay, so now that's the color of the long shadow. We're going to change it so that it is fading for a fixed length. The length will be 30. Okay, and the opacity, let's leave it at 100. Okay, that's fine. And now we're going to select the little YouTube thing and say repeat the long shadow. Okay. Now we've got our color palette here. I just want to add another color to it before we do the next part. So using the eyedropper, I'm going to select this turquoise color and add it to the palette. Then we're going to go into our color palettes. This one is called YouTube Banner Tutorial. And what we're going to do is go into our gradient tool, which under here, the gradient tool is here, or you can press G. There it is. And we're going to go to the palette that we just made, YouTube Banner Tutorial, and say palette to gradient. Okay, so now that is the gradient that we have over there. We're going to change it to radial. I'm going to select the letters but not the drop shadow of this word. Okay, we're going to go back to our gradient tool by pressing G. So there we are, it's still radial. And now we're going to apply the gradient to this word. Okay, we might move it around a bit. Just move it around a bit till it sort of looks nice. Okay. So select none. Now let's zoom out and have a look at what we got so far. I'm just going to change the opacity of these a little bit. All right, so that'll do me, I think. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to save it as, I'm going to call it number 2. And now I'm going to export it. So I'm going to say File, Export As. Okay, so it's called YouTube Channel Banner Tutorial number 2, PNG. And PNG is what I always use for these, and they work really well. So we'll go Export. I don't change any of that stuff. Export. So it's having to think about it. Okay, so that should now be in here. There it is, YouTube Channel Banner Tutorial number 2. And there it is. Now that's ready to plop into my branding. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that to show you. And so here is where we're going to put it. I'm going to change what's currently there. I'm going to go into where it should be. Where is it? There it is. I'm going to open that one. Okay, so this is what's viewable. This is why it's showing us this. So this bit up here is viewable on the TV. This bit is viewable on all devices. So that's the text safe area. And this bit's viewable on the desktop. So we're going to say, yep. So that is loaded. Publish it. Go to the channel, and there it is. Oh, I can see choosing white wasn't the best idea, was it? Look at that. I'm going to change them to a different color, those ones. So let's go back into here, and we're going to change these white lines because the background is white and it looks funny. So using this select tool, silly. We're choosing the white line and using our gradient, which is this one. I'm going to, which one shall we use? The pink one? Let's have a look and see what it looks like. Or the blue one. Alright, that'll do me. Now we're going to do this other one. Select the other line and we'll make it this turquoise color. So select none. Are we happy with that? So we're going to say save that, then export that. Or we're going to export it to the same one, which is YouTube Channel Banner Tutorial number 2. Yep, that's where we want to do it. So it's re-exporting it. Alright, so now we're going to go back into customization. Or branding. We're going to change it again. So that's this one. That's better. Just uploading that version. Publish. Go to the channel. That looks better. Now it's not looking like a wonky box. So obviously you should pick a style that suits your channel, whether your channel is about beauty, about health, about cooking, horses, gaming, whatever your channel is about. You should pick a style that will enhance the branding for your channel so that people can tell just by looking at your banner vaguely what your channel is about. I like to get all my pictures from freepik.com. You can download them for free, and all you have to do is include a credit in your description. Well, that's it for my tutorial. I hope that I was clear enough and you're able to follow along, and that some of these techniques will be helpful to you. Various different techniques that you can use to combine into a nice banner that suits your channel. Thank you very much for watching my video, and I hope that you got something out of it. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help me out with my algorithm. I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much, and I will catch you in the next video. See you later. This is Haneke signing out.